Hey everyone, Dr. Rowe coming to you from SpineCare in St. Joseph, Michigan. Here are some really easy exercises that can quickly relieve knee stiffness and pain from being seated for too long. Let's get started with the first exercise. What we're going to do is have our legs roughly hip width apart and your feet just flat on the floor. What we want to do first is just gently press the balls of our feet into the floor and then lift our heels upward as much as we can until we feel our calf muscles start to fire. Try to build into this one as much as we can because we're really going to drive blood flow downward towards the knees. That's going to help lubricate them and give you that relief. So once we feel the activation of the calf muscles, we're going to hold that position and then we're going to take our heels and just rock them side to side, kind of like a windshield wiper. You're just going to go all the way towards the right and then all the way towards the left. By doing this, try to focus on moving through your knee as much as you can. You should feel some really good movement right around that area. So I like to do this about 10 to 15 times, relax, and then on the next repetition, I'm now going to drive my heels into the floor, lift the balls of my feet upward towards the ceiling, and repeat that same movement. You're going to notice it hits the muscles a little bit differently, opens up the knee just a little bit differently. So again, try to do that about 10 to 15 times. And I like to do this circuit about 2 times in both directions. But if it does feel like one of those movements is helping you out a little bit more, maybe it's just a little bit more stiff or achy, at that point I keep just building into that movement over and over again until everything is nice and loose. But let's take this one to the next level and focus on some more muscles. So if you have a pretty short chair to the point where your feet, you can't lift your leg up without having your foot hit the floor, what you want to do at that point is try to raise the chair up as much as you can until your leg won't hit the floor. But if that's not the case, like this chair right here, what you're going to do is just take your hands, grab behind your leg right on the back of your thigh, and just lift your leg up to the point where your foot won't hit the floor. So what we want to do first is pretty much like a pendulum. We're just going to go rocking back and forth like this, really focusing on trying to move through the knee as much as we can. What you want to do is go to the point where if you went any further, it would start to cause pain or discomfort, and then hold that and then swing back and just keep building into that movement over and over again, because what you're going to notice through repetitions is you get more pain-free range of motion. So I just kind of like to build into this for about 10 to 15 repetitions, relax, and at that point just switch over to the other side and repeat. Actually, when I'm doing this one, I'm getting a little bit of a click right here in my knee. So if you do get like a pop or a click, what you want to do, I don't know if you just heard it over the microphone, it finally just popped right there, is just keep building into that movement over and over again until it finally loosens up. So another movement you can do is kind of a pendulum rock side to side. So what I like to do is just kind of go like this, doing that same thing about 10 to 15 times on both sides. But the last movement is the one that's my personal favorite. So what I like to do is kind of lift my leg up like this, turn my foot inward as much as I can, and then lift my leg up. This one really just targets that knee a little bit more. So try to turn the foot inward. You can also turn it outward like this, but go through all of these movements. Again, you're going to find one that just helps out a little bit more, and at that point just keep throwing repetitions in until everything is nice and loose. This next exercise we're going to do standing right next to our chair. If you do have a chair that has wheels, I would recommend not using the chair and using a wall instead. So what I'm going to do is start off by having my feet roughly hip width apart, and I'm just going to grab onto the top of the chair or the wall for support. The first movement, you're just going to lift your heels upward as much as you can, placing all of your body weight onto the balls of your feet. Really focus on driving those heels up, engaging the calf muscles as much as you can. Let's hold this for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then what you're going to do is rock backward, placing all of your body weight on your heels, and now lifting the balls of your feet upward towards the ceiling. Hits the muscles a little bit differently. This position right here is actually pretty challenging. Again, 3 to 5 seconds, and what we're going to do is then rock forward and just keep repeating this over and over again for about 5 to 10 repetitions in both directions. But if it does feel like it's helping out and you have a little bit more energy, challenge yourself by throwing in another set or 2. So to take this one to the next level, let's build into a lunge movement that's really going to target the knee. So what you want to do is just start in a scissored stance like this. The back leg is going to be kept straight. This front knee is going going to go bent slightly, just to the point where you feel a really good stretch start to form in both legs. What you want to do at this point is just take your knee right here and just start to do circles with it like this. So I like to do a big wide circle moving through my knee, and I usually start going counterclockwise, and I do this about 5 times, and with each repetition I just try to build into it a little bit more. From there I switch up the direction and now do this same thing clockwise for another 5 times. Afterwards I just take a breather and then repeat this a couple more times in both directions. When doing this, you might find that one certain movement, like for me, going clockwise more towards the left right here, it just hits that tightness the best. Maybe you do have some knee clicking also with that movement. At that point, keep building into that position, that movement over and over again until it finally loosens up. You're not getting any more clicking, or you're just getting a lot of relief. And from there, just switch to the other side and repeat to help keep everything in balance. This next exercise is what I call knee clocks. We're going to start standing right next to our chair, but if your chair does have wheels, I do recommend doing this next to a wall instead. So let's break this one down. Whatever side that you're having the most amount of knee pain or stiffness, let's say it's your left side, that side is going to be closest to the chair or the wall. What you're going to do first is place all of your body weight onto the painful side's heel, and then from there you're just going to slightly bend that side's knee to the point where you feel a gentle activation of the muscles around the knee, not to the point where it's causing any pain or discomfort. What you're going to do with this other side's leg is keep it straight at the knee, have it straight out in front of you, your foot that is, and then point your toes towards the floor. So in this position, since our foot is straight out in front of us, this will be like noon on a clock. A quick note before we start though, we are going to do a bending motion of the knee just like this. So it's really important as we bend our knee that our knee stays in line with our toes straight ahead. So make sure it doesn't buckle out or inward like this, just nice and straight ahead. So once we're in position, what I'm going to do is have my toes right out in front of me, and I'm just going to squat downward, bending that painful side's knee to the point where my foot can touch the floor, just tap it, and then comes back up. On the next repetition, I move over a little bit more towards 12:30 on that clock, and then repeat. You're going to notice it hits the muscles a little bit differently on that knee. So just keep building into different positions. Go towards 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, all the way towards 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and if you really want to make it challenging, go all the way towards 6 o'clock, even 7 o'clock. But the key is when you do this, you're going to find that one certain spot just hits that tightness, that stiffness the best. Maybe for me right here, it's about 2 o'clock. At that point, I just keep building into that movement over and over again until it finally releases or I'm not getting any more improvement. And then from there, you're going to switch legs and repeat to help keep everything in balance. So let's switch gears and now focus on getting long-lasting relief by strengthening the knee. And I can't think of one better exercise to do than the squat. The squat will make everyday activities like walking, going up and down stairs, getting out of a chair easier and less painful to do. So here's a really easy way to be able to do the squat using our chair. But if your chair does have wheels, I would recommend using a wall, a table, or a desk instead. It just needs to be roughly hip level. So let's break down the squat. I like to have my feet a little bit wider than my hips, and I angle my toes out slightly, about 5 to 10 degrees, and then I rock backward, placing all of my body weight onto my heels. It's really important to place more of your body weight towards the midline of your foot onto your heels. Keeps a better center of gravity, and it's less stressful on your back that way. So from here, what I'm going to do is now brace my core muscles. It's kind of like when somebody pokes you in your stomach, how you tense up and kind of suck your belly button towards your spine. Mimic that and hold it during this exercise. It again will help protect the back. And then from here, for good measure, I just like to squeeze my butt, my glutes, to activate those muscles. So once we've done all of that, we're now going to start pretty close to the chair or whatever object that we're using. You can just take your hands, put them right here on the top of the chair for support. Let's try to keep our back nice and straight during this exercise. We're going to slowly bend our knees and then squat our bottom down and away from the chair. As you do this, the further that you go down, the more challenging this is going to be. You should really feel a good muscle burn across your legs from your knees all the way up towards your butt. Go down as far as you feel comfortable, and then you're going to hold this for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then what you want to do is kind of like an explosive force, just drop driving upward like this. Really engage those muscles, those knees. And you're just going to take a breather at that point and then just repeat this. On the next repetition, challenge yourself to go down a little bit further and just keep repeating this over and over again for about 10 repetitions. But if it does feel like you have a little bit more energy, challenge yourself by throwing in another set or two. So if you'd like to take the squat to the next level, what you can do is what is called a goblet squat. It's the same movement. We're just not going to use the support of the chair or the wall. So let's get back into our original squatting position like this, but this time around I'm going to take my hands, put them in a prayer position, and then just press them into my chest to help keep my back nice and straight. And then from there, you're just going to squat downward as far as you can, drive back up, and just keep repeating that for about 10 repetitions for a couple sets. So build into this one when you feel ready.